See, if you like this woman, we have a problem. Does this girl go? Do you like her? Well, it's not just you, but this happens to thousands of people, even women. This girl has hundreds of thousands of followers on her social media, collaborates with brands, earns thousands of dollars monthly, is very followed and popular. Her name? Aitana Lopez. But there's a problem. This woman doesn't exist. She's a Spanish fitness model created by artificial intelligence. Yes, not a real person. Created by artificial intelligence and introduced as a health and fitness enthusiast. What's amazing is that thousands of people who follow her don't know that she doesn't exist. When they see it, they don't realize. It's all about how it looks, without any imperfection. It was really created by artificial intelligence and is not a person. But why are you so important? Just a few hours ago, SOAR was introduced. An artificial intelligence that creates a power for you with just a little bit of text. Hyper-realistic video that only 1,000 people connect with. That it's not real. Experts say the problem is that it seems reality has stopped existing and now what we see we will no longer be able to believe it. And that is, think about it. If there was already a problem with influencers who showed unreal lives on social media, perfect bodies, happy lives without any problems. Issue in imperfection. Now, take this to a fake level where we see not only lying influencers full of filters, but now influencers who don't even exist. We know what's true and what isn't. Operations that have simply been done with a product that we will consume. Just that and nothing more that manipulates us. That deception, I had mentioned it to you before, since the experts had said it. A moment when human beings prefer to live in the world and real digital than in the real world because there they will have perfect lives, but in the end they are not real. So well, what is real, where in reality they won't have friendly partners, nor will they have bodies. Healthy and nothing. But in that fantastic digital world, they can be whoever they want to be. But maybe they won't even make contact with another human being. I ask you, what do you prefer? A real world with all the difficulties, problems, pains, and anguishes. Where can you have the cloud you want? The life you want? You want, eat, and do whatever you want. But it's not real. It was all created by artificial intelligence, and you feel it in your head because you have viewers, sensors, and all that connected to your body. Some will say they prefer the first version because it's real. Others will say, on the other hand, they prefer the second because, I repeat to you, what is real and what is not. But here I ask you, what do you think? Which do you prefer? Having a real life with all the suffering that exists in the real world, or a fantastic life? Fantastic. Where you feel everything is real, but nothing is, leaving your reflection. I want to know it. What is that old lady doing to Jenna Ortega? And in the last few hours, some images and a video have gone viral on it. Just can Jenna Ortega, who is 21, be seen with Martin Freeman, a famous actor of 52, meaning there's a difference for over 31 years. For many, the scenes are quite strong. That's why phrases addressed to Menina that refer to Jenna Ortega have gone viral. Following this, a whole scheme has been developed. Let's pick it up. A few weeks ago, a movie called Miller's Girl premiered, which would be translated as The Girl from Miller's. The film stars Jenna Ortega and Martin Freeman. Tells us as a student and a teacher. Establishes a rather complex relationship. It didn't even perverse after she was given a writing task that was quite creative. In short, Jenna Ortega is a student of Martin Freeman, a writer who hasn't written anything in recent years, but his writings were quite personal. This is why she asks Jenna to do a job, and she ends up writing about a student who had an affair with a teacher. But the story is very similar to Jenna's relationship with Nali. So we don't know if what Jenna wrote is real or part of a fantasy. Nonetheless, the film was a flop. It didn't appeal to critics, and the box office was quite poor. But now, the images and videos of the film showing the tootling stuff have generated quite a scandal, and that's why people are shocked. At least it has been heavily criticized. The criticism was so intense that people behind the film are sure that both actors agreed to all the scenes. And that obviously Jenna Ortega gave her permission. But following this message, it's assured that the Actors Union would sanction the film for revealing Jenna Ortega's internal agreement. According to the union, it was stated that the people behind the film should never have responded to what was happening off camera. This film has sparked debate because it seems that she was the one who seduced the teacher and that she might also be making everything up without caring whatever happens to the teacher. And although it seems that in the end, in the movie, the teacher might do well because he stands up to his wife who battles him and besides, starts writing again because he feels inspired, his situation becomes very complicated because, I repeat, he had a relationship with a student much younger than him, which she suggests she seduced him and maybe invented as a fantasy of a relationship that never went further. That's why others are also criticizing this movie, saying it portrays the girl in the bad light when he should be the bad one, especially in times like these, where there is controversy. In relationships between men and women, everything should be consensual and there should be no exploitation from either side. Both, however, argue that this film also serves as a good example of how women can also take advantage of men, and that women, as even young ones, carry their own sins. This isn't the first movie to discuss a relationship between an older man and a very young woman. Let's remember there's an even more controversial story called Lolita, where an older man becomes obsessed with a teenager. It's all based on a book, but there are several variations. Now I ask you, what do you think of the controversy? What do you think about General Ortega's participation in this film? What do you think about the film's creators revealing that General Ortega agreed to do it? Something that was obvious, but has sparked debate because it is said that the Actors Union believes this wasn't appropriate, and what's behind the film and behind the scenes shouldn't be appropriate, being released to the public. Yes, all the agreements that are in it. And finally, what do you think about the story? Because nowadays, it's believed that the man is always the bad guy, but sometimes that's not necessarily the case. With me, your thoughts? This is the real life. Is Disney going to revive what you're gonna see with blow your mind? They just leaked and revealed the first images of their live action of Lilo and Stitch. Let's remember that Disney has been sunk and strongly attacked for its last live actions. For instance, the Siren idea, which ended up causing quite a stuff, because many said it was necessary to introduce a black little mermaid. Then there is the controversy of Snow White, a movie that hasn't been released yet, but about 100,000 have already told it. Snow White went to get a tan. Remember, Snow White got her name because she was as wild as they, and who is going to play it, she would be a money girl, and not only that, it was said that the seven dwarfs were not going to be elder dwarfs, moodling magical beings, which weren't even men or women, but rather, they were undefined beings, and that the princess was going to meet a prince. But that would take a backseat, because the idea is that this princess, this new Snow White, was going to be a totally independent girl, an extreme feminist, whose greatest interest would be to rule her queen. So many comment that it was supposedly not going to be a live action, that is, a real version of the original. That's why many said it seemed like a completely different story. But with busy the Yasli seat, the adult groupigar with the eyes and Stitch issue, one of the most beloved and popular Disney movies in recent times, and which, for many, is considered one of the most mature and thoughtful themes in all of history. Let's remember how Lilo falls into depression after losing her parents, not being accepted at school, and not having money, and how her young sister struggled to get ahead. And if we add to this the fact that they were Hawaiians, with such a number, there are people that sees indigenous people as lesser and treats them as such, even more so, the movie. It's awesome. We know that Stitch was supposedly an ugly dog and was mistreated for being ugly, which he wasn't. He was an alien and quite powerful, but everyone said he was a pretty ugly dog. That's why I want a good movie. For all the reflections and all the teachings they gave, and it is that this film blew your mind and made you think, now well, the film was already a fact that it was going to be made in live action. Doubts in every way with her. To start, how was Lilo and Stitch supposed to look? And although there were doubts initially, what has just been revealed has left people in love. And it is that one can see a big little doll that would look like Stitch and is beautiful. It's really beautiful. Obviously, we must be clear, this is not going to be the final version we see in the cinema. Not just the model that would help the actors to interact with it when filming the movie, but if it's going to look like this, honestly, it's awesome. The film is being recorded in Maui, Hawaii, and it seems the English issue is is about a lonely, quite sad, depressed dog whose life changes when is cat, when the adopted dog is actually a mischievous and quite powerful alien highly from hunters who want to catch it. And that's why many are saying that this is finally on the right track again. Let's remember that from now on, Disney could break up as things have been going pretty badly for them. Third, fifth, and many more parts of their successes. Something that could be of Zoya, Chimora 2, Inside Out 2, Zootopia 2, Frozen 3, and Toy Story 5. And if we add to this the live action of Lilo and Stitch, oh my god, it's blowing our minds. That's for sure. Also comes Snow White's live action, and like people say yes. I want to see. But let's see what happens. I don't know this, I ask you, what do you think? Do you really believe Disney will revive? What do you think about the look of this Stitch? Leave me your thoughts. I want to hear him. They ruined your childhood. Look how they wrecked your little one. The image you're looking at has gone viral, and many wonder where her curves are and why they ruined her. You can see how in the 90s, this girl's image was quite curvy. And now in the new series, which is based on the previous animation, they removed all the curves. This picture is so important to note that it is not made by other artists. Let me explain. In the 90s, serial series one that truly touched the hearts of fans, marking the childhoods of millions, was that of the X-Men. A curvaceous figure, just like in the comics, was presented. And at that time, the male looked very muscular and the gurus looked very curvy. But time has passed, and now many people are demanding the removal of curvy images. But here, many have said, let's see, I see now. And I don't feel bad about my body. Rather, I think, wow, I want to be as muscular as him. But instead, many women see Rao, the X-Men character, and say, oh, why does she look so curvy? A woman live, I don't know. And clear, there are real women who look like this, so we shouldn't take it so personally. In fact, instead of getting annoyed, let it inspire you. This character is Rao, known as Titania in Latin America. Like a character who was quite flirty, sexy, and could enchant millions, but she wasn't the only female character presented with these curves in the series. All the girls had almost this body. That's why many wonder, why does it bother people so much that girls have so many curves that new generations can't understand there are all kinds of bodies? Among them, very curvaceous bodies. So why the complaints about female characters, male characters? This means that men don't complain, but rather get inspired by these bodies. Meanwhile, with animated female bodies, there lies a problem. It's the only reason they claim this to be illegal. It could end up ruining the childhood of many. It has been revealed that a very important character will be presented as non-binary. That is, they feel that they are neither a woman nor a man. That's why they prefer not to be called he or she, but rather they. And not only that, they will have a very close relationship with Wally. How close? Who knows? It would be none other than Morph. Morph has the ability to change his shape and will even his appearance to whatever he desires. It has no power. Impressive. But the most famous is shape-shifting. In the original series, his real appearance was that of a white man. Now it will be a character with its real pale skin appearance and without a nose. Morph, who was previously named Kevin but might now just stay as Morph, was very significant in the initial episodes of the original series, especially since he was dismissed by the Sentinels. But then it turns out he's alive but somewhat disturbed. Now the character will return, but as non-binary, here people will be divided, and some have said, oh, a more inclusive perspective and the new generations are going to like this. We have to be clear, according to the legend, the X-Men were created to make visible the marginalized members of society. They were inspired by marginalized communities to create these characters called the Dead. It's even said that the X-Men were based on the civil rights movement. Well, this in the United States. They are white writings. They rose to make their voice heard, so some are sure, well, they should include now. It also relates to the rainbow movement, which is why there should be a non-binary character who feels they are neither boy nor girl and prefer to be referred to as they, not he. Neither did she. That's how the debate started. It's because that's what I'm asking you. What you think this will ruin your childhood? Rather, what do you think? Have they taken the curves away from Roach? Many are angry about the bias. Curvy females in animation, but not so much in real life. Very muscular bodies in Aubrey's animation. And what do you think about the non-binary people issue and that this gets into this animation? Leave me your thoughts. I want to know them. Who has Danny Flo fallen? What just happened with Danny Flo has broken the internet, and it's clear it has impacted thousands of people. You've most likely heard the name Danny Flo in the past few days, so his music was not listed to say very vulgar. To others, it spoke what young people thought, but due to certain statements, it had been cancelled and denounced. So Danny Flo had reached the top, and then I had fallen all the way. Now Danny Flo has just been interrogated. What this controversial and famous YouTuber gives the review, and it seems that at last Danny Flo dropped the character and decided to reveal the whole truth about the difference between Dan and Flo, the character, and Victor Daniel Valadares Barrientos, the real person. Let's start by saying that Dan and Flo revealed he was quite introverted and that, even though she looks very outgoing, she isn't. Besides, she was very afraid of talking to Dalla Review, and it's because Dallas is very good at talking. And Dallas started the debate, thought maybe Dalla was going to eat her alive, because he wasn't that good at speaking there, and because before saying anything, he would think a lot, and could still get tangled up in what he was saying. And Dallas could have dragged him through the mud, even though he had agreed to talk to him. Danny Flo also revealed that everything he has done, he did for success and fame. And that he himself knew what he was saying was going to hit because it was going to generate controversy. It was then that Dalla Review asked him why. Why didn't he give better advice to the young people? And talked about good habits and actions. To which Danny Flo was very clear. If I tell that to the youngsters, my music won't hit. He also spoke about the controversy he had with Memo, and they're going to release a song. But after it was cancelled, Memo made it clear he wouldn't release a song with him and wouldn't work with him until he apologized. In the end, Danny Flow, he also refused to work with Memo because he felt Memo had turned his back on him. Still, he spoke very highly of Memo, saying she really could sing and that she was one of the best things to happen to reggaeton. And what about the few influencers who are actually good singers? It seems Dallas was not satisfied with her plan. With that, since it seems she doesn't get along very well with Jerry Moore, but still, she agreed with what Danny Flow said. Then, Daily Review asked about Nat Campos and the controversy with Riggs, since Danny Flow had supported Riggs. Sorry, if you're not aware of this controversy, well, Nat Campos was very close to Riggs, but one day she had too much to drink, and she claims that day Riggs crossed the line with her. Riggs ended up going to jail, but there were people whose or many of his friends gave him my back. But on this subject, Danny Flow said he no longer wanted to talk about it because he felt he was going to get tangled up. Another important point that caught quite a bit of attention is about what Danny Flow will take his little daughter to his concerts. Flow mentioned that he protects her and she doesn't listen to the heavier music, but in general, the music he sings to his daughter she likes. And even though many criticize him, that's the way that he is with his daughter. He lives and interacts a lot with her. After this, thousands of people have been schooled on social media, amazed by everything Danny Flow said, from being quite introverted to his very serious way of speaking. Years thinking carefully about everything that is why this also sparked debate. Some support Danny Flow but say they prefer the real person over the character, and others, on the other hand, have said that Danny Flow, it's both the real person and the character, except that everything is done for fame and success, but by accepting this, his career has fallen. Now tell me, what do you think? Leave me your thoughts. I want to know them. The loudest stomach growl in TikTok history. You've got to see this video. A Binube and popular influencer and TikToker known as Marjorie has just caused a whole scandal and has now become world news after suing someone for using a meme. Hers. Following this, thousands of people have accused her of being opportunistic and just having the loudest stomach growl in history. Remember, that's a phrase used to call someone greedy and who wants to take advantage of others financially. To be clear, this girl has been making videos on TikTok for a long time and has had quite a few viral ones. But perhaps the video that made her most known was the I See It and I Want It one. The thing is, it has millions and millions of views. We have to be clear, the audio doesn't belong to her, but the way she did it. If it's a creation and it's so striking that I shared it, and they used it to make their own names. Now then, Sausan used it without causing her trouble. But when the Ministry of Energy and Mines of Peru did, she didn't like it at all and sued them, claiming they had exploited her image without her permission. But then people would turn around. Some told us, hey, but if you look at the Desi world, from individuals to companies, some small and others very big, why would they go? Regarding the Ministry of Energy, they are mines, others on the other hand have supported it, ensuring that no one can use your image without having asked for permission first, especially since it's ensured that, because of the Ministry of Energy and Mines, is suffering a lot of psychological damage. Now for many, the ministry made a big mistake, but not so much for using the meme. Not because it said that when she was a program part of the Secret Ministry, they were going to contact her, but in the end, they didn't. Now what do the experts say? Well, what they just revealed is quite disturbing and very shocking. And this is because TikTok, when you decide to upload content there, you give them all rights to do whatever they want with your content. And it's not just that, it gives you that content for your entire existence, even beyond your life. That's something Margaret shouldn't have to fight over, because the issue isn't the ministry, the issue would be TikTok. And that's without even touching on the CapCut company matter, which is the platform used to edit these videos. It also happens that when you upload content, it has many terms and conditions that people do not read and are unaware of. So we have to be clear according to the... And what Marjorie's case has revealed is that when we upload content to TikTok, TikTok has the power to do whatever it wants with it. And when they say what it wants. Because if we read the terms and conditions carefully, the permissions that are given to TikTok are up. This is how, according to experts, this influence should have been read before. Now, some might say, well, what if someone posts a video without my consent and uploads it to TikTok? Well, that would be a different issue, but in Marjorie's case, she uploaded her content willingly. Now, I ask you two questions. First, what do you think about Marjorie using someone else's music to make her meme, which went very viral and allowed almost everyone to see it? Everyone will take their meme, but they didn't like that their country's ministry did. Busy thinking what the majority really seeks? Perhaps an economic resource, or rather a fight not to use her image where she doesn't consent. What do you think about this ministry in Peru that was initially said to be discussed with this influence, and then stopped talking to her? What do you think of TikTok's terms and conditions, where when you upload your content, it's like selling your soul to the devil? and to use material from others. What do you think about people who claim that what Marjorie did was TikTok's biggest hunger pang? Again, people are divided. Millions are supporting her, and millions argue a spot. A number? Tell me. They ruined your childhood. Look how they wrecked your little one. The image you're looking at has gone viral, and many wonder where her curves are and why they ruined her. You can see how in the 90s, this girl's image was quite curvy. And now in the new series, which is based on the previous animation, they removed all the curves. This picture is so important to note that even it's not made by other artists. Let me explain. In the 90s, serial series one that truly touched the hearts of fans, marking the childhoods of millions, was that of the X-Men. A curvaceous figure, just like in the comics, was presented. And at that time, the male looked very muscular and the girls looked very curvy. But time has passed, and now many people are demanding the removal of curvy images. But here, many have said, let's see, I see now. And I don't feel bad about my body. Rather, I think, wow, I want to be as muscular as him. But instead, many women see Rao, the X-Men character, and say, oh, why does she look so curvy? A woman live, I don't know. And she clear, there are real women who look like this, so we shouldn't take it so personally. In fact, instead of getting annoyed, let it inspire you. This character is Rao, known as Titania in Latin America. Like a character who was quite flirty, sexy, and could enchant millions, but she wasn't the only female character presented with these curves in the series. All the girls had almost this body. That's why many wonder, why does it bother people so much that girls have so many curves that new generations can't understand there are all kinds of bodies? Among them, very curvaceous bodies. So why the complaints about female characters, male characters? This means that men don't complain, but rather get inspired by these bodies. Meanwhile, with animated female bodies, there lies a problem. It's the only reason they claim this to be illegal. It could end up ruining the childhood of many. It has been revealed that a very important character will be presented as non-binary. That is, they feel that they are neither a woman nor a man. That's why they prefer not to be called he or she, but rather they. And not only that, they will have a very close relationship with Wally. How close? Who knows? It would be none other than Morph. Morph has the ability to change his shape and will even his appearance to whatever he desires. It has just raw power. Impressive. But the most famous is shape-shifting. In the original series, his real appearance was that of a white man. Now it will be a character with its real pale skin appearance and without a nose. Morph, who was previously named Kevin but might now just stay as Morph, was very significant in the initial episodes of the original series, especially since he was dismissed by the Sentinels. But then it turns out he's alive but somewhat disturbed. Now the character will return, but as non-binary, here people will be divided. And some have said, oh, a more inclusive perspective and the new generations are going to like this. We have to be clear, according to the legend, the X-Men were created to make visible the marginalized members of society. They were inspired by marginalized communities to create these characters called the Dead. It's even said that the X-Men were based on the civil rights movement. Well, this in the United States. They are white writings. They rose to make their voice heard, so some are sure, well, they should include now. It also relates to the rainbow movement, which is why there should be a non-binary character who feels they are neither boy nor girl and prefer to be referred to as they, not he. Neither did she. That's how the debate started. It's because that's what I'm asking you. Do you think this will ruin your childhood? Rather, what do you think? Have they taken the curves away from Rog? Many are angry about the bias. Curvy females in animation, but not so much in real life. Very muscular bodies in Aubrey's animation. And what do you think about the non-binary people issue and that this gets into this animation? Leave me your thoughts. I want to know them. Poor things. It's pitiful. Madame Web crashes and becomes the worst Spider-Man flop. Web, who turned into a monster? They did the first major flop of 2024. Not even the fans want to see it. Not even men who are in love with Dakota Johnson and Sydney Suarez. They want to give it a chance. It's said that the movie has barely gained 50,000 subscribers, millions of dollars. This all around the world. That is to say, nothing for what it costs and the expenses it generates in general. Like, for instance, advertising, nosing. What excitement. The Madame Web movie is here. I want to see it. Or someone who has seen it saying, it's the best movie I have ever seen. Nothing. I don't think you've heard. The film's numbers are so bad, they're even worse than the rest. It's since this film was doomed from the start. There have been reports of chaotic feeling, Dakota Johnson not getting along with the other girls, and numerous creative changes. That is because you would expect to see the girls in costume and fighting all the time. And men who have counted the time they were in costume in the movie say that They didn't last even 3 minutes. The previous Esportore Madame Web flopped, and they want to beat it by far, who was Bob Marley's one laugh. It was not well received by the critics, but on the other hand, people have wanted to get hooked on it. And let's remember, that's what matters. However, it's not like Bob Marley's Science is making a lot of money, but supposedly the budget was quite economical for a Hollywood movie. Because according to it's already made $80 million and had a budget of $70 million. That means it's quickly made back its investment. But what's the issue? How badly is Madagascar doing? It is already confirmed that it is the worst Spider-Man movie premiere in Sony's history. But let's be clear, we should not blame the name Spider-Man because the movie does not have Spider-Man. And that's where the problem lies. Many Spider-Man fans have stated that a movie without Spider-Man, or at least one of his very little, the characters around Spider-Man, were only created to accompany the character. They even say that a movie, for example, about Spider-Man's enemies, Morbius, and even the own Venom is something that was not necessary. And yes, they come to work. But still, many wonder, when will Venom face Spider? It seems people do want Spider-Man, whether it's Tobey, Andrew, Tom Holland, or even the animation with the black and teenage Spider-Man, Miles Morales. I even loved this movie. On its opening weekend, the most watched movie was Spider-Man No Way Home, $260 million. Then there is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse with $120 million. In the last place, Madame Web with $24 million. That is, guess Spider-Man No Way Home made 10 times more in its opening weekend. But the problem is not the absence of Spider-Man in the film. According to its critics, the theme is very boring and its story is quite silly. The reason I don't want it. And if we add that it seems that Dakota Johnson is not a fan of Spider-Man and has shown it on several occasions, well, Madame Web is thinking and is becoming one of the worst flops in movie history and the biggest failure of 2024. Your turn now. Why do you think Madame Web failed so badly? And are you interested in seeing it? Or nothing? That's a final joke. They see the director of Madame Web looks more like Madame Web than the lead does. Now share your thoughts with me. Tell me, what do you think? The sad end of Henry Cavill. What just happened to Henry Cavill is quite sad. And now you're going to find out. Paul Cavill is one of the most beloved and popular actors. People love him a lot. He is also considered a very handsome man. That's why many would think his life is perfect. Now, as we all know, he brought Superman to life, but that era is over, and it's done now. I will never play that role again, or at least not in the way I did before. It has decided to hire someone just like him, because the actor really looks a lot like him, to bring the new Superman to life. Just let it be someone more, tall and younger. Well, as we all know, the Marvel Universe is on the rise, and the latest projects have been a total failure. That's why everything indicates that there will be a reboot. And for that reason, Marvel has already announced the arrival of the Fantastic Four. Very social-like. And it was at that moment that it was assured that Doctor Doe, one of the most important villains, would arrive. The most brutal and famous of Marvel. And that the person who will bring it to life is none other than Henry Cavill. The fans went wild. But just when it seemed confirmed, many realized it was not, and it seemed to have been a hoax, a deception. That's why some started saying that Henry Cavill wouldn't be Dr. No, but because of that, Les was going to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. For instance, it could be Cyclops or another X-Men. But many said it can't be that Henry Cavill went from being Superman to just a side character. Previously, many started following Henry Cavill's career, and they began to realize that although she's very loved and very supported her projects, they haven't done so well. But it seems like he's just a supporting actor. That when he starts, for some strange reason, the project just doesn't come together or work. And if he simply participates, the project may or may not work, but he is not the protagonist. So many claim that if the situation continues like this, Henry Cavill will have a sad ending. An actor who could have become much more. And in the end, it wasn't. But Henry Cavill's fans still have hope. Do they think that what will define his career as an actor won't be Superman? Something new that's about to happen. Warhammer is one of the most famous games in the history of the United States, presenting a dystopian future filled with all kinds of characters, androids, demons, gods, elves, magical beings, and extraterrestrials. It seems that there, Henry Cavill will have his greatest opportunity to show what he's made of and make history. He even said, "For 30 years, I've dreamt of seeing a Warhammer universe in live action. Now, after 22 years of experience in this industry, I finally feel that I have the skills and experience needed to bring a universe to life." Warhammer's cinematography, partnering with Natalie Fiscus at Vertigo, is a blessing beyond words. We couldn't have found the perfect home on Amazon. And having a home like Amazon gives us the freedom to stay true to the vast scope of Warhammer. To all of you Warhammer fans, I promise to respect what we love so much. I promise to bring you something familiar, and I strive to bring you something fantastic that until now has never been seen, that just as there was the era of magic with Harry Potter, superheroes, and DC's failure, a new universe of games is now on the horizon, or nothing like that for a while. According to experts, what Henry Cavill is about to do could be the most brutal, incredible, and fascinating, or the strangest. The most terrible trash in history. That's why I assure you this could be the end or Henry Cavill's most legendary success. Now tell me, what do you confirm it? Mexico is running out of water. Just a few moments ago. The latest report from Mexico's National Water Commission has confirmed that the Cutzamar system, the main source of water for Mexico City, has reached a brutally low level. At 38.55%, let's remember that the Cutzamar system not only supplies Mexico City but also the megapolis area, meaning municipalities in the state of Mexico. This water crisis is historic, according to Big Spets. This is caused because both Mexico City and the states that make up the Valley of Mexico have not received the rain. It's for that reason that the water supply in the megacity, and especially in Mexico City, has adopted extreme measures. For example, a platform called Water in Your Neighborhood has already been developed that notifies the inhabitants of Mexico when water will arrive. Mexico, particularly the Valley of Mexico and especially Mexico City, is facing a crisis of water. But what do the experts say? Well, that the situation is going to get even worse. Let's remember that Mexico is one of the countries that will suffer the most from climate change. So seasons without rain will get worse and even stronger. But the worst part is that it seems that the governments that have passed through Mexico, necessary measures have not been taken to create a sustainable water network in Mexico City and the Valley of Mexico, where a large amount of water is wasted. That's why experts say Mexico City is running out of drinking water, and the problem keeps getting bigger. So, one of the world's most populated cities, a mega city meaning one of the areas with the most people on the planet, is running out of water. That's how consumerism, uncontrolled, where people do not take care of water, that the government does not knows how to implement the measures to create a self-sustainable system where a lot of water is wasted. And finally, why not? There is no rain. That's why Mexico is running out of water. Now to me, what do you think? Spain is going to call it The Amazing Adventures of a Deadpool vs. Sabretooth. Thousands are laughing at Spain, and they say that the new Deadpool movie is going to be called The Freaking Adventures of Deadpool. Deadpool vs. Similoclav. Boy, this is going to be real. Okay, let's take it one step at a time. In the last 20 years, Spain has selected several movies, from the original name in English to very strange names in Spanish. But to be honest, this not only happens in Spain, it happens in many other countries. So ours also on the other hand. Yes, the movie will be called Deadpool. In most Latin American countries, keeping the names exactly as in English. But in Spain, it will be called differently. And here, let's make a bundle. In Spain, Wolverine doesn't... How do you know them? Wolverine is known as Wolverine. There are two conspiracy theories about why, in Spain, he is called Wolverine a Wolverine. The first and funniest thing is that the people who translated it apparently didn't know English, which is why Fulbury sounded to them like Wolf the Wolf. Hyperlime, new small, Wachiko. And that's why they named him Lobesna, because that's what they call that dumb little crazy on it. Not so funny thing is that they realized translating Wolverine literally English because the truth didn't sound so shocking, since its translation is glutton. And it's because the character of Wolverine is based on the Wolverine, also known as Guno Guno or... And yes, his name isn't quite charming, and his look might not seem all that fierce, but what he does showcases a significantly strong carnivore with an intense character, with a disproportionate reputation for ferocity and strength compared to his size, and it has been proven that he can take down prey much larger and more powerful than himself. Do you understand? Who will Wolverine's character be roasted on? The issue is that in Spanish they call it Localization. And, well, the name isn't that shocking. That's why not just Spain changed its name, but also in Latin America they call it a chipa. Oh well, I called it that because lately Wolverine is the name he goes by. Now, mainly it is Latin America because, supposedly they're known as Wolverine, Dynamic Needle, or Emilio Gara. Here, a clarification is in order. Yes, sometimes it was referred to as dynamic needle because it showed up in an animation and pulled out a claw like a needle. Not only its claws, that's why they named it dynamic needle. Called the dynamic needle. Helidoni. And that's why they put it that way. So a claw is like a moving needle. And now, let's move on to Emilio Gara. Well, this isn't really a translation per se. It was undercover. On a mission, they called him Emilio Cla. No, it's not a joke, it's real. Translator, you're going to really ask what's his name. Where Rame is named Emilio Cla. No, some may say so. Well, it's called, but that es amas de, was it no, to the Cadiz, his mother Elizabeth got involved with one of their workers. And I'll see you in the next video. At some point, Thomas takes over John's life. And James, filled with rage, aims Thomas's life, wounding his half-brother Dad. Later on, he encounters Dad and something drives him to madness. Memory, he can't even remember his name. That's Logan. Well, he should have taken Logan's surname since his real dad was Thomas Logan. But his actual name wasn't that, it was James Howlett. So it isn't half-baked either, considering all the stuff before Lally gonna flee to the mind-blowing adventures of Deck over Tassia in Spain. Well, it's if it is true that Spaniards use the word amazing to describe something that is wonderful or that amazes them. But Matt, as they call him in the movie, it's Deadpool. And I'll see you in the next video. It's time to call the characters by their original names. Just like that, what was Cheetah is now called Wolverine. We have to call it Wolverine. You see, you have to go to right. And being named Wolverine, let me know your thoughts. I want to know. The formidable military base that Texas is building on the border with Mexico. Confront Texas is building a large military base right next to their bike. They will have over 1,800 National Guard soldiers, but this number could increase to more than 2,300. The military base would be on the banks of the Rio Bravo and would feature, it would have a single function, to protect the United States from what some have called the greatest danger they currently face, the arrival of Mexicans and other immigrants. The large military base is part of a plan to contain irregular immigration in which these thousands of soldiers are trained to stop immigrants effectively and efficiently so they do not enter the United States. In this way, the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, ensures he is protecting his country and especially Texas. That's why he built an improvised wall with cargo containers and post wires creating blockades in the Rio Grande so illegal immigrants cannot pass. And if they try, they might even die, and now has ordered the construction of a large military base to stop immigrants. People says its nest was not quite successful, and as proof of this, in January of last year, only 68,260 encounters with migrants were recorded. This is the border between Mexico and the United States, which is less than half of the 149,806 migrants who tried to enter from Mexico through Texas territory. Even this is lower than what happened in October and November, where almost 120,000 people per month and tried to cross from Mexico to the United States through Texas. So now there were only 68,260. According to the Texas governor, what he's doing is working very well. And it's that they don't want Mexicans or any other immigrants illegally, because even according to them, they are the greatest danger to the United States. Something that surprises many experts because the United States is a country of immigrants. Now, then me, what do you think? Oh no, the gringos discovered Memo Aponte. Why is Memo Aponte trending and advising not to watch his latest video? Why children should never watch Memo Aponte? For many, the case of Memo Aponte is one of the saddest and most disturbing in YouTube history. A very loved and popular boy who made an impact on the childhood of millions. From a very young age, he was a voice actor, bringing to life quite endearing characters. Phineas in the Phineas and Ferb series, Nemo in Finding Nemo, Hiro Hamada in Big Hero 6, or Dash in The Incredibles. And that's just to give you a few examples. As a teenager and young adult, he started creating content for social networks, mostly about Disney and children. But suddenly, he's involved in several scandals, some quite serious, from how he interacted with his fans, some very young, to accusations from his ex-girlfriend. Bidim commented on one occasion tras Si Ago decided to leave this world. Yes, it's a very tricky and difficult issue. Maybe that's why their views went down? And the fact is, a lot of people stopped supporting Memo Aponte, and it was at that moment that Memo Aponte began to creating content that seemed for kids but wasn't for kids. One of the last videos that generated quite a controversy is when he, along with others, dressed up as characters from Bluey. He began acting in a rather strange way, sharing many edgy and dull joys of scenes. Obviously, that's why they said it wasn't for kids. Now, just a few hours ago, it became very viral on social media. Oh no, the Americans discovered Memo Aponte, and it's because a famous American YouTuber known as Saber Spark decided to buy, sharing an image of one of Memo Aponte's videos and then writing, "This is awful. Was then that thousands of Americans began to watch Memo Aponte's content. And when Spanish speakers realized this, they started making memes. The situation escalated to the point that Saber Spark dedicated another video to Memo Aponte's content. And yes, generally speaking, Memo Aponte's costumes are very strange. But this in particular is quite disturbing for many, as they disguise themselves as the amazing digital circus, an independent animated series. A human who has caught a virtual reality with her sensi sims and is currently quite popular after all these people. That's it. No problem, Ponte, why make these videos? Or thanks for the nightmares. It's clear he's not the only content creator globally making videos supposedly for kids that aren't for kids. How many times have you seen Spider-Man or Frozen's princess doing things that make you say, hey, that's not a good example. Swearing, behaving badly, in short? Well, according to some, Memo Aponte does it too, and that's why many wonder. Why? The answer is clear. What you want. He admits it himself. Given that, you know it's a way to draw attention and create content that is watched. Now I ask you, what do you think of the Memo Aponte case and the people who participate in his videos? And not just as a joke, but rather the situation that Memo Aponte has lived through, whether that content should be seen by children or not. So then tell me, what do you think? The sad ending of Flappy Bird. Maybe you're too young to remember this story. But about 10 years ago, the creator of the world's most popular video game, the moment he announced he was going to remove it, the reason was so shocking that the world couldn't believe it. Flappy Bird came into the world in 2013. It would be in 2014 that it reached worldwide fame with millions of people playing it. The game was quite simple. There was a bird that had to go through several pipes, which they have different openings. Every time you touched the screen, the bird would call. And since the openings were at different heights, each tap on the screen lifted the bird. That you had to keep touching it, depending on whether you wanted it to fly or to stop playing if you wanted it to fall. At first, it was very simple, but later you had to combine multiple taps, as if the openings were too high or low. Sometimes you had to stop playing because the opening was too low. People thought this game was very easy, but not at all. Playing it was simple, but beating it was quite challenging. People get to know him through word of mouth. That's how he became popular and caught so much attention. It reached the first position in downloads for both iPhone and the Android store. The game cost nothing, but it had advertisements, so more people downloaded it. And suddenly, it started to generate so much money that the world wanted to know who had created and who was becoming a millionaire. The creator was Don Vunje. Tom was from Vietnam and he was young, and he was surprised by the madness that was happening with his video game. He was making $50,000 a day. By God, this figure was unimaginable for an indie game created by a completely unknown person before in the high-level video game world. But this success began to concern Dom in a brutal way. For me, but not for the money, but for another, more important reason. That's why The Void sent a message which people couldn't believe. And it was that, in the first days of February 2024, just 10 days after his game became so famous, he posted a message to the world. He said he said, the 100 Flappy Bird players in 22 weeks, 2 hours to beat. Again, I can continue with this one. That's when the conspiracy theories started. Some said that since this game was quite similar to the old Super Mario Bros. Games, it would contain with a similar bird, and just like Mario, you had to touch it for it to swim up or stop touching it for it to go down. Nintendo would be suing them, and that even received threats, because we know the Japanese don't play around. Even though they are very nice people, well, intellectual properties and copyright issues are brutal. Others brought out other conspiracy theories, saying that the game had been created by a government agency of some powerful country, so people would download an app to their phones and thus be controlled. And with these conspiracy theories came many more. But still, Don is not a man. That's when the game, just as he had predicted, vanished. So, immediately low-quality copies came out, but they couldn't match the level of the original video game. There were people who loved the video game so much, loved the game so much, loved the video game so much, loved the video game so much. No, it was serious with this game. Trying to buy phones that had downloaded it. And their phones began to be sold online and at extremely high prices. That's how the creator of Flappy Bird remained silent for quite some time. Until he finally decided to reveal the truth and explain what had happened. Who created something that was a vice? It was too addictive. His intention was to create a game that people could enjoy for 10 minutes, be relaxed, and have a good time. But people didn't do that. They started to get hooked and obsessed with the game and tried to reach the highest score, dedicating hours and hours. Hours, days, and days into this game. That's why I couldn't sleep, by what it had cost. Seeing people so crazy about his game, completely losing their minds, was what made him take it down. He even said, and quoted, he had received emails from Flappy Bird fans claiming it was so engaging. As a therapeutic substance, terrible. and this frustrated people. When Flappy Bird was taken down, people realized this man also had other quite successful games, like Shuriken Block or Super Bowl. For him, these were harmless. Studies said that if they became as addictive as Flappy Bird, they wouldn't hesitate to remove them. They studied the game and found out that playing it was quite simple. And a conclusion, something to be so eye-catching doesn't have to be so complicated. Now Dom's Twitter account isn't here much anymore. That's why many wonder what happened to Dom. This man who could have earned too much money at unimaginable levels, but chose not to because he knew what his game cost in people. Now tell me, what do you think?
MrBeast did this in Mexico. They have accused her of being the Antichrist. They claim her logo is the logo of the Beast. As for his birthday divided by 3, he'll give you 666 who has performed fake miracles to help 1,000 people to walk again, 1,000 people to see again, or 1,000 people to hear again. It is ensured that the UN says, no stopping MrBeast from building 100 stands in Africa to help 500,000 people. That without the government's permissions. Of course, all the above are lies and nonsense, but what's also true is that thousands have criticized MrBeast, claiming he only benefits himself and to profit by helping others. And yes, even though he gives away thousands of dollars, in the end, he keeps millions. But while hundreds criticize him, millions defend him, ensuring that MrBeast is the example of what an influencer should be. A person who helps and supports others, and that with MrBeast, everyone wins. Those who participate in their contest win. Those who help with their support win. They win. And the people who watch his content win, because it's entertaining, and not just that, it sets an example for others to want to do the same as him, help others. Sometimes for views, or sometimes for money. Sometimes just to make this world a better place. Just now, he has become worldwide news because of what he did for Mexicans. MrBeast just donated 100 surgeries for kids with cleft lips in rural communities of Mexico changing. Such is life, and it's not just about looks, it's health. And that's when a baby has a cleft lip. Now, start over. Many people with cleft lips become deaf due to the infections it causes. Moreover, people with cleft lips have difficulty speaking, making everything in their life complicated. You have many dental issues. To tell how the world discriminate against them based on their physical appearance. That is why what MrBeast did is applied for millions and thousands of Mexicans. They are thanking him, ensuring that there are more influencers, YouTubers, TikTokers. Anyway, they should be like MrBeast. From here, I do say thank you. Truly thank you for everything. Breaking news. Argentina bans inclusive language. A very famous restaurant might change its prices depending on the time you go to buy. Sony lays off hundreds of employees from the PlayStation. TikTok in trouble, the moon is shrinking. A girl suffered from the sleeping beauty syndrome. Just a moment ago, the government of Javier Milei, president of Argentina, has just banning the use of inclusive language in official documents. Thus, from now on in government official documents, it will be possible to use inclusive language by order of the non-president of Argentina. Behind thing very odd is happening at one of the world's most famous restaurants. And it has been revealed, though it's not yet official, that when these restaurants, known mostly for their burgers, are planning to change its prices depending on the time you go and the number of people present. Meaning there will be dynamic pricing. Remember, this already happens with Uber, where depending on whether it's raining or not and whether there are many trips or not, the fare goes up or down. So it looks like when these restaurants are going to cost you, depending on whether it's night or day, whether there's a lot of people or just a few. In other words, restaurants will have dynamic pricing. Some say this could go global with other restaurants. If the restaurant is very empty, it could lower its prices. But on the other hand, if the restaurant is very full, its prices go up. 900 PlayStation employees were laid off, so more and more big companies are firing people. Some believe it's not even because they are not doing well, but rather that with the arrival of artificial intelligence, there are many jobs. People are replaced by this artificial intelligence. TikTok is on average issues because the big record labels, they're not going to renew the contract and they will be deleting all of their music catalog from TikTok. Remember, TikTok had an agreement with the major record labels, so you could use their music to make your videos. Record labels accused TikTok of paying too little. And not only that, but of promoting major artists and overlooking the smaller ones. That when you enter to watch, because they like music, the reason being this music is already banned due to copyright issues since TikTok does not have an agreement. The experts, they just confirmed that the moon is shrinking and this will cause terrible moonquakes, which would be very dangerous for future humans in the house. Very well, and is that she suffers from the sleeping beauty syndrome. Currently, the girl is only in her 20s and suffers a terrible condition that makes her sleep for up to 2 weeks at a time.
This disease is quite rare, and in very little, it's well known. And according to experts, it cannot be called the sleeping bag disease. This disease isn't beautiful, but rather a nightmare, as it affects everything from their jobs to personal relationships, even with their partners. Think about it. Imagine that, at least to rest well, you have to sleep. Or more, every day, you'll go rest well. But just imagine if you have to do activities and homework for school, work, and so on. You can't do it anymore because you're too tired and dying of sleepiness, even if luck is on your side and you fall asleep at any party. Now you are informed. Tell me, which news has impacted you the most? Tell me, I want to know what you think. You won't believe what's happening with Miss Universe. Controversial scandal, all that fuss about. Tipo paka ko. A video has just been revealed. Titi, there you go. The current owner of Miss Universe, here's an interesting fact. She's now a transgender woman, previously a man, and speaking with Miss Universe organizers, saying something that has caused a scandal. They will accept everyone in my universes. Trans women, married women, divorced women, women of different ages, in short. But what I'm saying is, Anchines from Ireland said that the strategy is simply to make women think that all can aspire to win the Miss Universe crown, because there will be no more limits. But one thing is being able to compete, and another thing is being able to win. That's how I make it very clear. They only open the contest to, regardless of them being trans women, regardless of their age, whether they are married, their physical appearance, but only one can win. And obviously, it is a standard that God sticks. That much was clear from the start. They could have already chosen someone with certain characteristics, but the plan was to make all women feel they could participate. They even discussed a plus-size Miss Universe, which sparked controversy. Miss Nepal, who was called fat for her 80 kilograms. It was also mentioned that if not, they need to include all women, because in this way, they can sell to all the women in the world what they already want. That is, if a trans woman participates in my universes, they would use her to sell to trans people and to the community. If they allow a plus-size person to participate in Miss Universe, they can sell to plus-size people, to a short person, to short people, to a married woman, to married women, and so on. Furthermore, they allow everyone to participate to add drama, because without drama, there is no show, and without show, there is no business. After this, some accused that the truth was finally known, that there was fraud in my universes, and that inclusion is false, and that it is only used as a business, nothing more and nothing less. Now tell me, what do you think? Do they have a point in cancelling Ari Gameplays? Sad news has been shared. Juan Guarmich, one of the most beloved and popular influencers in the world, revealed that his sister has just passed away. I don't know anything about the details of the circumstances of their death, but even so, dozens of people have sent him all their support and good wishes. That's why he urgently traveled to Colombia, back home, to be with their family in these challenging and hard times. Thousands show solidarity and empathy, but a bleak controversy has erupted. Ari Gameplays, Van Gorich's wife, who is also a very beloved and popular influencer, has been cancelled on social media for uploading photos on her networks, posting as if nothing, the addicted crowd. How can it be possible that your partner's sister has passed away, and you continue posting as if nothing happened? There are people defending her by saying, it's not the same, and maybe she had the photos scheduled already. Oh, her team did, and that's why they were posted, but not to cause more scandal, or that there were some agreements and sponsorships and that's why she posted the images. Now I ask you, what do you think happened to Ari Gameplays? And why do I post those images? And if it were your partner, what would you think about them posting this while her sister passed away? Some claim that Ari really did nothing wrong and that there are just people who get bothered by everything, get affected by everything, and that's why they're attacking her. Meanwhile, they think that Ari Gameplays had to have a bit more tactum for at least do not publish these images until some time has passed. It's time, since this moment is for being with her spouse and not for posting this. Tell me, what do you think? They tried to cancel Luisito Communicates, but they can't. Thousands of people are claiming that the latest video uploaded by Luisito Comunica to YouTube should be banned. The video is titled, Living with Africa's Feared Men. Watch the video. Is it truly impossible? In it, Luisito cumbia. A knacker is going to knack. An encounter with the umbrellas. They say of the hyenas as pets, and what they do with them is something really mind-blowing and blows your mind. Luisito Comunica shows us step-by-step everything that happens and keeps us informed. Opinion, Anatolescan. Be as respectful as possible, presenting our points of view, but also sharing your own thoughts on what you're observing, feeling, and seeing. And it shows us how men have their homes full, with which they play just as if they were little dogs. They are bursting with joy. Remember, they are among the most powerful and lethal animals in the world. The scenes seen in the video are truly shocking. is not only about showing the hyenas, but also how they interact with other dangerous animals and even how they use knives that are supposedly magical. Because when they want, they cut. And when they don't want to, they don't cut. At one point, they even play a very dark prank on Luisito Comunica, which went viral, and some said it would be sent to Best Video. At all times, Luisito Comunica looks scared, worried, but also amazed and excited by what he's seeing. I mentioned that what I see is quite cruel, but also quite astounding. However, some have tried to cancel the communication, claiming that showing such images in a video is purely they promote that kind of actions. Very thin and badly. In your childhood, I am the Quelda, but while some have criticized it, many more have defended it, saying, thanks to Luisito Communicates, the world is getting to know. And it's that the world, as he mentions, is more diverse and bigger than that small bubble in which we live. That's why thousands, both grateful and supportive, are reaching out regarding the type of content currently being uploaded. However, they urge caution. Because of the diseases he could catch or the dangers he might face, the truth, he takes precautions. The genius in what he asks to communicate, and that is that in his video I'm going to be quite honest. I feel that I did not judge, simply presents what he's seeing. And with our eyes, based on our education, what we know, and our way of life, we can judge. But instead of trying to judge, we should try to understand. It's easy to criticize, but watching these videos, it makes us realize how people live outside our bubble. Honestly, what Luisito Comunica has shown is truly shocking, and thousands are already waiting for his next videos. That's why they tried to cancel the visit to Communicates, but they couldn't. Now tell me, what do you think? Do you believe these kinds of images should be recorded or rather forgotten? This way of life should be criticized and censored, or rather, reflected upon and understood that there are people who are different, who have different cultures and traditions. And what in our eyes may be wrong, but maybe for them, we are the ones who are wrong. What should Luisito do? Criticize them? To defend them? Just sharing what's happening and trying to give all perspectives while reflecting on it. My respect is for Luisito Comunista, because even if you notice, for various reasons, he is putting his life at risk. It's easy to judge, but greatness lies in understanding and reflecting on it. And it's that many of the people there truly believe in black magic, voodoo and things like that, which for some could be a matter of mockery, ignorance or nonsense. Knowing a bit more about the way of life of these people and also learning a bit more of their history helps us to reflect what is at the... You think?